Hi there. I'm Noah Rosenfarb, and today I wanted to talk to you about using technology to raise capital. I've been in the capital raising business for about 13 years. I've raised nine figures of capital in a variety of ways to take a company public. So, a direct public offering. I've raised money for individual syndications. I've raised money for funds, private equity funds, private real estate funds, and private debt funds. And as a family office entrepreneur, operating a family office geared to entrepreneurs, I'm always not only bringing in assets under management, but also advising clients that are raising capital for their own transactions. So I'll share a little bit with you about my own experience, and hopefully you'll find it valuable. The first thing I would say around technology is it's much easier to write a book than it's ever been in the past. And if you are looking to raise capital, what you want to write your book about is what your investors need to know. This could be done without too much time, effort, or cost. So, one of the important things to know is that only 5% of people that receive a book will go beyond the front or back cover. Only, I think it's something like 10% of people might open it up, but it's almost negligible. So don't worry so much about the message inside. Obviously, you want it to reflect positively on you, but get it done. Get your first draft out, have an attractive cover, make sure your messaging is clear, and you're really dialing in a piece that's credible, that when your investor looks at it, they'd think highly of it. If you want to start with an ebook, that might be one way to reduce the cost of delivery. I've worked with a company called 90 Minute Books. I haven't published a book with them, but I've followed their content. It's owned by a guy named Dean Jackson, who I like, trust, and respect. And I think it's a great way to get your book done quickly, efficiently, and at a low cost. And then you could always decide to come up with a more sophisticated, comprehensive book. I've written a couple of books. If you could see them over my shoulder, they took me a lot longer. They're 30 to 50,000 words. They take a bit more time than I have a digital book called How My Family Generates Infinite Returns Investing in Apartments. So that's more of an ebook that we did online using the 90-minute book system. I would say it's maybe 50 pages, and we haven't printed that in hard copy. Another thing to think about is creating a short video. So you might want to do something like I'm doing for you here today, is recording on Zoom, and then you could play that video back on Zoom for your investors. You could also do something like a whiteboard video, which I've done before. Sometimes whiteboard videos, you can have them done with hand drawings. You can have them done with images. There's a variety of different ways to get them done. I actually own a royalty interest in the company called Wiz Motion. So I'd encourage you to use them, because I will collect a percentage of their sales as part of my business, Fiji. So I'd appreciate that. But think about, what is it that you could tell your investor in 2 to 3 minutes. So you want a short, immediate video that covers your investment thesis and gives the investor a reason to reach back out to you. Social media is obviously something that you'd want to leverage. I just posted the other day that I was looking for investors in a apartment complex that I'm buying. I don't post that very often because I'm not always looking for new investors. But when I did, I got about 26 inquiries, I think it was, between Facebook and LinkedIn within 24 hours. So the way I've been able to generate that level of interest and engagement is by having a content strategy. So my content strategy is focused on sharing other people's content that is focused around the areas that I'd like to revolve around my personal brand. So that's taxes, investments, insurance, estate planning, and financial planning, and kind of what I would call life planning, living a great life. So my content strategy historically was to share articles that showed up in my Google feed and post them on Facebook and LinkedIn, along with a little bit of commentary, maybe 2, 3, 4 lines on top of the article. After that seemed to be working, then I decided to hire a company to help me produce both video content and text content. I use a company called influencepodium.com. It's run by a gentleman named Marty Sanchez, Marty with an I. They've been doing an excellent job for me. I pay about $1,100 a month, I think it is. And they do 12 posts plus a bunch of outreach on LinkedIn. They really have guided me. And like I said, I'm getting a clear return on investment from those activities. The other thing that's highly recommended on social media is make sure that when you're connecting with new people, you're commenting on their posts. So that way there's a way that they're getting to know you. The people that are involved in social media, they do read their comments. So be sure to like it, comment on it, and engage with them. Don't just flood their inbox with direct messages. It tends not to work incredibly well. You also want to be focused on the distribution methods for your content. So email obviously is a great way. If you don't already have an email list, we use a company called MailChimp to deliver our emails. Text messaging, we use a company called Spark, which is geared for financial services firms, but there's a ton of different text solutions. So the text doesn't actually come from your cell phone. It comes from your PC that you could set it up. And then also now there's such thing as voicemail drops. I don't know if you've ever received a voicemail drop, but basically your phone doesn't ring and all of a sudden you've got a new voicemail. That's a new technology that you can use to leave a voicemail on somebody's phone without actually having their phone ring. The other way to get your message out, I would encourage you to consider whether you want to host a podcast or potentially go out and be a guest on other people's podcasts. I hosted a podcast in 2013, 14, around there. I was able to start my own podcast. I got picked up by a channel that was looking for me to be the host of their podcast. We were getting about 1,000 downloads an episode, which, again, it's pretty hard to speak to 1,000 people and then even more so to be able to speak to them every week. But I decided to stop my podcasting because there wasn't a clear call to action and I wasn't generating a return on my investment of time. So I decided to stop that. And now I take a more proactive approach to being a guest on other people's podcasts. So I'm always exposed to new audiences, and that enables me to meet new people on social media because a lot of times the listener will come and check me out afterwards. Another great way is through webinars. So either hosting your own webinars or again, being a guest on someone else's recurring webinar. And the same would be true for speaking engagements. Now with Zoom, it's easier than ever to be a speaker. You don't have to travel to a new city, stay overnight in a hotel that's uncomfortable. Decide if you want to have free speaking engagements or paid speaking engagements. I've done both. It's really depended upon the audience and what I was looking to accomplish. A couple other tech tips before I let you go here. One is on email, there's a feature to use hyperlinks. So what you can do is copy and paste a link to your document, your video, your offering memo. You could paste those in as hyperlinks into your email. But what I find looks prettier and tends to just again, it'd be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing is if you highlight the word link or highlight the word click here and you right click on that, at least if you're using, the PC software that I use, you can add a hyperlink and it'll just show the words link or it'll show the words click here and it'll be underlined. And when the recipient clicks that link, it'll open the bigger hyperlink. So you don't need to show the entire text of the hyperlink. I think it shows a little bit more of thought that went into your email. Another thing that I really like is if you do your whiteboard video, or sometimes when I raise capital, I'll do maybe 4 to 5 PowerPoint slides and I'll do an audio voiceover over the PowerPoint slides, or I'll do something like this where the text is behind me and I'm doing a short video. I like to text a link to that video and I save that video on Dropbox. And when you text the link to a video to someone, it shows a thumbnail preview. So usually what I would do is I'd send a message to my prospective investor. Hey, John, I've got a new deal coming up. Let me know if you're interested. And then I add my hyperlink. When it appears on John's phone, it'll show my text message. Underneath it will show a thumbnail image from that video. And if John were to press on the play button on his text messaging, it'll just pop right open and automatically play the video. I think users are pretty comfortable watching video on their cell phone now. I think you get a better response from text messaging than you do from email. So be sure to not forget about sending the direct text with the Dropbox video link so it shows up right on their phone. And of course, when we talk about technology, don't forget that the best app to use on our phone is the one that has the little phone on it. Pick up the phone, dial your potential investors, have a conversation one-on-one. There's no better way to get to know people. So again, just a couple of bullet points from me, Noah Rosenfarb from Freedom Family Office. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and let me know if you have any questions. Send a message to my inbox. I hope this was valuable, and I hope you enjoy all the content that's being produced by Family Office Club.